Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today I'm doing my updated 2022 Senate map prediction for obviously the 2022 midterm elections. So I last did a 2022 Senate map video probably about a few months ago now, and some things have changed, and as some candidates have become announced and some candidates have been rumored to run, this map's definitely going to change quite a bit. So I think it's time to do an updated map for you guys. So first things first, I'm going to start off going state by state on the states that I see safe for both Democrats, Republicans, and battleground states. The battleground states I'm going to come back to at the end of the video. So first things first, the West Coast, the state of Washington is going to be safe. There's not going to be too much competitive race going on there. The state of Oregon I think will also be safe. Look for the governor's race to maybe get a little bit closer. But in terms of the Senate race, much more of a nationalized environment. Oregon will be safe. California, Alex Padilla, I believe his name is Padilla, got chosen to fill the rest of Kamala Harris's term, I believe running for 6 years now. He will win re-election. He'll win re-election, I guess. Idaho, maybe a primary that might happen. I'm not too sure, but I think it'll be a safe red state. Mike Lee in Utah will be safe red as well. North and South Dakota, I don't think there'll be any serious Democratic challengers here. I think they'll both be safe. Kansas, I think Kansas for now is safe. The only possible competitiveness is if the governor decides to run for Senate instead. I don't think she would do that, but if that happened, maybe we'd get closer. But Kansas, I think, would be safe for now. Oklahoma would also be safe. The state of Hawaii will be safe as well. The state of Alaska, Alaska, I think, will be safe Republican. The question is, who that Republican will be, Lisa Murkowski or the Republican challenger. I've had some trouble saying her last name. I believe it's Kelly Tshibaka, I think. I'm sure I butchered the name, however you say it. But yeah, either way, I think it'll be a Republican win. And on the West Coast, I'm going to put the states of Nevada, Arizona, and Colorado in battleground. These are the states out west that are going to be very, very competitive. The state of Louisiana will be safe red. The state of Arkansas will be safe red. The state of Alabama, I think, will be safe red. I expect Mo Brooks to win there. South Carolina, Tim Scott. I don't see any Democratic challenger getting as close as Jamie Harrison did, especially not against Tim Scott. I think he'll be safe. The state of Florida with Marco Rubio. I honestly think this could be a safe state. Maybe likely, but I think Marco Rubio, whoever the Democratic challenger is, I think Marco Rubio's got a very good shot at winning by over 10%. So I'm going to put it in the safe column. So Republicans up to 42. The state of Missouri, again, this is going to be an interesting one for who the Republican ends up being. You have the former governor, Eric Greitens, going up against the attorney general. I believe his name's Eric Schmidt. And you also have Mark McCloskey, who we remember from the video last year, outside of his property with a protester. So it's going to be an interesting primary for the Republicans, but either way, I think the Republicans will win the Senate race. So Republicans are at 43, Democrats at 40. I think Illinois will be safe for the Democrats. I think the state of Indiana will be safe. I think the state of Kentucky, where Rand Paul will be safe. Iowa, it all depends on if the current Senator Chuck Grassley decides to run for re-election. If he decides to run for re-election, he'll be 90 if he does so, I believe. If he does decide to run, it's safe, Republican state. If he does not decide to run, this instantly becomes a battleground and one that the Democrats are going to try to get a very top recruit for. So, Republicans at 46, Democrats at 41. Wisconsin is going to be a pure battleground. Pennsylvania will be a pure battleground, as will the state of North Carolina, as will the state of Georgia. The state of Maryland will be a safe Democratic state. The state of Connecticut will also be safe. Vermont, Phil Scott or not. Phil Scott already announced he won't run, but even if he did, it'll be a safe Democratic state. The state of New York, Chuck Schumer will win, no question. The state of New Hampshire is going to be a dead battleground, and I got some kind of information about this state I want to get to. The state of Ohio, it depends on who the Republican is. J.D. Vance and Josh Mandel are the two I think will come down to. Either way, I think both of them will win by about 5 or 6% or so I'm going to put it in battleground for now. I think the Republicans start off with 46 safe states. Democrats start off with 45. So no matter what happens, I don't think there will be a supermajority in the Senate for one party or the other. I think this will be a closely, hard-fought, contested Senate map. So, first things first, I want to talk about the state of Colorado. Colorado I put in battleground only because we've seen in Republican wave midterms that the state's a little bit closer than expected. If the Republicans get a good candidate, or I don't know if a good candidate, I will say someone like Bob Bupre, who ran for governor in 2014, I believe, and made a very, very close race. If he runs, I could see this race being relatively closer than usual. Probably not 10% for a Democrat, but maybe 8 or 9%, which is just enough for me to put it in the likely column. I think Democrats won Colorado no problem, but I think over 10% is a little too steep for me to say at this time. The state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire is going to be an absolute tight battleground. I believe Chris Sununu is going to run. I've been saying for a while Chris Sununu is going to run. I've also been hearing some rumblings of other potential Republicans maybe running for governor. So, to me, every inclination is Chris Sununu will end up running for Senate, and it's just a matter of time on whether or not he will announce he is or he isn't. I think he does, and I think Maggie Hassan, while a new poll came out that only shows her up by 1, every poll they've released so far shows Maggie Hassan is underwater compared to Chris Sununu in popularity. I think this race will be very, very close, but I think given Chris Sununu's popularity, I think this race is going to be decided by about 2 to 3% in favor of Chris Sununu. This will not be like a 7-point blowout. This will be like a 1 to 2% nail-biter of an election coming down to the last few towns, probably along the Massachusetts border, honestly, that are often swing towns. I think Chris Sununu will win the Senate race by about 2%, and that will be the first Republican pickup of the night. So, now Republicans are at 47, Democrats 46. I think the state of Ohio, I'm going to put in the likely column. I still think Josh Mandel is more likely to become the Republican nominee. I don't know if Josh Mandel or J.D. Vance, who would do best statewide, is probably a wash, to be completely honest with you. But I think Josh Mandel has more name recognition at this time. And whoever gets former President Trump's endorsement will make a big difference in Ohio. He seems to be staying out of that, who he will endorse and who he won't. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on there. But I think Ohio goes red. That gets the Republicans to 48. Democrats are at 46. We're going to go out west because I think East gets much, much more competitive and much, much more close. The states of Nevada and Arizona. Nevada is a very, very prime opportunity for Republicans to try to get a pickup, where the Democratic Party in the state is moving much farther to the left under more of a socialist platform, and that's the Republicans' key opportunity to pounce on that. The only problem is the current Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, for Republicans, the only problem is Catherine Cortez Masto is not unpopular in the state of Nevada at all. And I'll be honest, as someone who covers elections a lot, I really never even hear her name, which electorally has been proven to be pretty okay, to be honest. You know, what's his name? Gary Peters in Michigan. It was a very close race, but he still won. John Tester in Montana. Close race, but he still won. So I don't think Catherine Cortez Masto is necessarily... I think she's in trouble. I don't think she's in a ton of trouble. I think she could easily win this race by about 3-4% or so. I think the Republicans have a good opportunity to try to go after Nevada, but I think Catherine Cortez Masto starts off as a 3 to 4 point favorite over a potential Republican nominee. I think it'll be Adam Laxalt. Now we go to the state of Arizona, who I think Mark Brovanovich, I believe his name is, being the Republican nominee, I think is honestly a pretty smart move. I think the Republican Party in Arizona, if they want to get back on track, they need a strong showing in 2022 or they're pretty much done. The governor's race at this time is a pure toss-up to me, but Mark Kelly's the Democratic senator. I have not heard too many people complaining about Mark Kelly right now. His voting record has been relatively pretty moderate. Even to some Republican standards, Mark Kelly's been voting pretty moderate as well. I could see Mark Kelly winning this race by the same margin he beat Martha McSally by about 2 points or so. I'm going to put Arizona in the lean column for now. I think Mark Kelly holds off against Mark Brovanovich, and he'll win a 6-year term in the United States Senate. So, 48-48. Now, we go back east. The state of North Carolina. It's interesting because you could have Pat McCrory, the former governor, going up against Ted Budd, current representative and Trump-endorsed Republican. I don't know if anyone watching the video saw the speech where Trump endorsed Ted Budd, but things definitely got dicey. Trump pretty much called out Pat McCrory by name, saying we can't nominate people who have lost before and who have lost like twice or three times. So former President Trump is obviously not, he does not want Pat McCrory to be the nominee. All the polling data so far shows Pat McCrory is still ahead, so the primary is going to be interesting. For the general election for now, I think this race starts off by about a 1 to 2%, probably 2% lead for the Republicans, just given the midterm polling trend, where I think a Republican +1, Republican +2 electorate, which is honestly what it could be, I think would be enough for North Carolina to be in the lean column at least. So I think North Carolina starts off in lean. That gets the Republicans up to 49, Democrats still 48. I think New Hampshire might be a little bit of a gutsy call, flipping it to Chris Sununu, but I'm pretty confident in that one. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia is where the election really comes down to. And you could honestly make an argument for both the Republicans and the Democrats winning all three of these states. So, first things first, I'm going to start off with the state of Wisconsin. Ron Johnson was supposed to lose in 2016. If anyone who remembers that race, his Democratic former Senator Russ Feingold, who was running against him, was beating him in the polls. And he was supposed to win by about 6 or 7 points according to the polls. Ron Johnson ends up winning the race by about 4%. So Ron Johnson is proven to be battle-tested in the state of Wisconsin, just popular enough to win re-election. I think Tony Evers is honestly the governor's in pretty decent trouble as well. However, do not think this race, one way or another, is going to be a blowout. Wisconsin has proven over the last 4 years to be a very close competitive race. Given Ron Johnson, if he decides to run again, which I assume as of now he will be, I'm going to put it in the tilt slightest of margins column in the Republican column. This will be under 1%, I think, if Ron Johnson runs and wins. If Ron Johnson decides not to run, I'm going to put it back in the battleground column, and I'm going to have to determine and reevaluate based on who the Republican candidates are. Because if it's someone like, say, Sean Duffy, for instance, I think he could be a very good general election candidate. But if the Democrats get a strong candidate and the Republican candidate's kind of like a no-name, someone that no one really knows or expects, this could be a very good pickup opportunity for the Democrats. So Republicans are at 50, Democrats are at 48. The state of Georgia is looking like it'll be Raphael Warnock versus Herschel Walker. This one is so close, in my opinion, because Herschel Walker should honestly have a relatively easy job picking up this seat. The only problem with that is Raphael Warnock is not super well liked, and frankly, you can make the argument that Republicans should have won both Senate races in the special elections. And I think that the Republican Party kind of messed up the opportunity to win 2 Senate seats in Georgia. So Herschel Walker is probably the best Republican to run against Raphael Warnock. The only problem for me is we don't know what the 2022 midterms will look like for Georgia. You have Brian Kemp running against Vernon Jones in the primary. And former President Trump has made his dislike of Brian Kemp very well stated. And that's kind of splitting the Republican Party in two in the state of Georgia. Maybe more Republicans turn out in support of Brian Kemp, or maybe more turn out in support of Herschel Walker, and that's enough to say no to Raphael Warnock and all likelihood Stacey Abrams as well. So Georgia could go red. Georgia could also go blue because of the split in the party at this time. It is so incredibly close. I kind of want to put it just in the pure battleground column as it is, but honestly, that's kind of boring. I'm going to put it in the tilt Republican column for now, because I think Herschel Walker will be able to win this race, but seriously, it is so close. It could really go either way. And now for Pennsylvania, which I think might even be closer than Georgia. In all likelihood, I think it's going to be a Senate race between John Fetterman, the lieutenant governor, and Sean Parnell, the candidate against Connor Lamb in 2020. This race is going to go down to the wire. And the reasoning for this, because I know a lot of you watching this video might say, John Fetterman, well, he's a lock to win, isn't he? No, he is not. The reason being, John Fetterman has prided himself by being a different kind of Democrat, a socialist-style Democrat. And even there have been some articles I read, I believe one was from NBC News, where some Democratic pollsters and strategists are concerned how that socialist message will play in the suburban areas outside of Philadelphia. A lot also may be concerned with outside of Pittsburgh. John Fetterman is from the Pittsburgh area, so I don't think the suburbs of Pittsburgh will be dissuaded by that too much. But the Philadelphia suburbs against Sean Parnell, I think that is something where we very well could see a very, very close race where John Fetterman, being a socialist, might be enough for Sean Parnell to potentially win this race. It is very, very close. I want to give it to Sean Parnell. That puts the Republicans at 52. But you could make the argument that John Fetterman will win Pennsylvania as well and then put it 51-49. It is so incredibly close. For now, I'm going to err on the side of I don't think a socialist wins in the state of Pennsylvania. It'll be interesting to see what John Fetterman says about things like the Green New Deal. If he takes a strong position in favor of that, that could honestly help Sean Parnell in that case. So for now, I'm going to give the updated Senate prediction 52 Republicans to 48 Democrats. This map is going to be subject to change leading up to 2022. So if you don't like the way this prediction map looks, well, remember, A, this is a prediction. We don't know what the final map is going to be until Election Day. And B, candidates can change, polling can change, the environment can change, so it all depends. But that is going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like the video and subscribe. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you again so much for watching one of my videos. It means the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for coming back. That is going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like it, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.